Looking at nature and being in nature can provide artistic inspiration. On this episode of the Arts Page, on location at the Lynden Sculpture Garden, learn how the Milwaukee Bonsai Foundation and Milwaukee Bonsai Society are keeping an ancient art alive and growing. Watch a woodturner in Waukesha create beautiful bowls that preserve their true natural beauty. And marvel at how Tibetan monks make a mandala of sand inside Milwaukee City Hall. That's all coming up now on the Arts Page. Welcome to the Arts Page. I'm your host, Sandy Maxx, and this is Milwaukee's Lynden Sculpture Garden. Over 50 monumental sculptures are on display here at the former home of Harry Bradley and his wife, Peg. Harry was a co-founder of the Allen Bradley Company, and Peg became an avid contemporary art collector in the 1960s and 1970s. Lynden Sculpture Garden opened to the public in 2010. You can wander and discover the dozens of outdoor artworks and the natural ecology of their 40-acre site of park, lake, and woodlands. Next to Big Lake is the Bonsai exhibit, a collection of over 30 bonsai curated by the Milwaukee Bonsai Foundation. The Milwaukee Bonsai Society shares with us the history and art behind these beautiful living sculptures.
Bonsai means tree and tray, so anytime you have a tree in a pot, officially it's a bonsai. Where people say, I have bonsai in my yard, unless they are in pots, that does not fit the definition.
The Milwaukee Bonsai Society was started around 1970. In fact, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary. It's probably one of the bigger, more active clubs in the Midwest. And none of this that you see here would be possible without their help. The Milwaukee Bonsai Foundation is an organization that was set up to create, own, and maintain a public bonsai collection here at Lynden Sculpture Garden in Milwaukee. There are probably about 32 trees in the collection. As far as I know, it's the only public bonsai collection in the world that is in a dedicated art facility. Bonsai is an art form. It's a very, very old art form. It uses living trees as its media. It's creating the image of a large tree you would find growing in nature that in a pot that you can maintain in your own home. The earliest recorded history we have of the art form is about 800 AD. We think that the bonsai art itself started probably in China. When the landlords would travel around their property, they would see a tree that they liked, had some character. They would dig it up, put it in a pot, and put it in their garden. In about 1200 AD, the Chinese Buddhist priests were going to Japan, and they took their bonsai with them. And so that's where it got to start in Japan. So after World War II, when the GIs were there, and they began to see the bonsai, and that's when it started to become a worldwide hobby, if you will. You can use almost any tree for bonsai. Anything that has a woody trunk can be used as a bonsai.
What we like in bonsai, we like to have a tree that looks like a big old gnarly tree with character. And as I get older, I appreciate that more and more.
The most common question is it real? So they look at them and they say, you know, how can that be real? It's so small compared to the trees that you see out in nature. This regular tree, if you planted this in the ground, it would become a large tree after some time. They stay small because we keep them in pots and we trim the roots and trim the top, and that keeps them small. And that allows them to get a very large trunk while staying small.
Part of the art form and part of the knowledge is figuring out how you can get that tree at the size you want it to look like an actual tree. So when somebody sees it, they say, oh yeah, that's a tree. instead of that's a stump with a couple of leaves on it.
You work with the tree. You take what the tree gives you, and you look at the shape and you decide sort of what direction you'd like to go in. The next thing you would do would be to remove any dead tree material. There's dead leaves, dead branches, and you have to decide where in that mass is the art that you want to bring out. You would trim it, and then you would wire it, and you wire it to whatever shape that you want it in.
We use some specialized tools as far as cutting goes. We've used some concave cutters to help heal wounds faster. The Japanese specific tools, they're really made especially for minimizing the damage to the tree when you use them. So that's what we prefer to use whenever we can.
We use wire as a training device. We use wire like a doctor uses a cast. We wrap it around a branch, and we can move the branch and move it around a little bit, twist it, turn it, take it up and down. And as the branch grows, it puts on more wood, and then it will hold that position when we take the wire off.
And this is always the interesting part, when you put the wire on and then you go to bend the branch, and you hope that you don't hear a loud cracking sound, which tells you that you made a big mistake somewhere. But it is really quite surprising the extent to which a properly wired branch can be manipulated and moved.
If I were to show this, I would need to clean up a lot of the foliage. You'd like to see definite layers in here. And we have some of our bonsai artists who say that we would like to see this open so a bird can fly through it, rather than just having it look like a big old shrub.
What do I need to do to this tree now to get it to that vision at the end? And that might be 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So even the most seasoned bonsai artists and the most experienced have the same outlook. This is what I want the tree to look like right now. Next year, 2 years down the road, it may change.
It's a living sculpture. Bonsai is a living sculpture, so it's never really done. And you want to maintain it. If you want to keep the size the same, then you have to prune it. You will repot it every few years.
Trees can only take so much work that you do on them at one time. You can't pot a tree and trim a tree too much all at once, otherwise the tree might not live. It's not something that you're going to finish in a day. This is a long-term adventure.
We make a cut today, hoping that tomorrow it will do something and it will grow into the shape that we want it to grow into. Bonsai artists are always working with the future.
The members of the Milwaukee Bonsai Society shared some additional knowledge about the care and maintenance of the bonsai.
Working with someone who's new at the art form, they're going to have to learn about the tree. They're going to have to learn how to take care of the tree first before they can make it grow.
The bonsai rely upon the owners totally for water, for food, for any type of pesticide or fungicide. So this is not like putting them in the ground. The soil in bonsai is very porous. We like to have it well drained. It's not organic soil.
This is called akadama. This comes from Japan, and it's a clay, a very hard clay, but it's very porous and allows the roots to grow through those rocks. This dirt is not really the best for growing bonsai in because it's very easy to overwater the tree and drown it and kill it. The nobari is where the main trunk starts to flare out from the roots.
We want to have a nice root flare to make sure that it looks nice and stable, and some motion.
So this is really just getting the tree ready for what we call the next insult. It's one insult at a time, which this is exposing the the top roots and finding out where the tree is, maybe doing a little bit of root pruning just to get some of the surface roots off of there and really get it prepared for the next insult, which is repotting it. And that's a major impact to the tree. That's why we want to do that when they're dormant to minimize any damage to the tree. And so it's not so hard on it.
And being in a pot, that will expose the roots to the cold much more than if the tree is in the ground. So trees that would normally be hardy in Wisconsin, if we put them in a pot, they will probably need some extra protection.
During the winter, they don't need such high amounts of water. You don't want to give them too much water. Their roots will get bad.
There's a little dead twig right there. Yeah, so I just have to be careful when I do it that I'm not cutting something I want to keep. This one right here is see that? There are no leaves on it, and there are no buds on it. It's still viable, so I'll leave it because it won't. If it's dead and I bend it, it'll break. And I bend it and it doesn't break, so it's still okay. Basically, it's routine maintenance. It's very fussy, but it really contributes to the look of the tree when you get it done.
You could see the Milwaukee Bonsai collection on display at Lynden Sculpture Garden from May through October, and individual club members bonsai each year during the Wisconsin State Fair in the Grand Champion Hall. Learn more about the Milwaukee Bonsai Society at their official website, milwaukeebonsai.org. This public artwork was added to the Lynden Sculpture Garden in 2016 and is called Eliza's Peculiar Cabinet of Curiosities. Visitors are encouraged to enter and explore this full-scale structure created by Chicago-based artist Fo Wilson to resemble a slave cabin. And the fictional Eliza that sculpture is named for, she is a naturalist, anthropologist, and a collector of curious found objects, inviting people to step inside and experience history in a unique way. Our next artist is preserving nature in his own unique way. Scott Boris is a wood artist in Waukesha. He transforms logs into natural edged bowls with particular care to preserve the true character of the trees. He shows us his process and shares why he now only chooses to work with Wisconsin woods.
I can make a bowl out of any log, but not every log will make a really neat bowl, because I want to capture that stuff that God already put in the tree. I would love to capture that in my piece. I am Scott Boris. I am a wood artist. So I just started as a small stuff that we needed for the house, plus for other people. And then the turning came in when I got a lathe, and I just thought I could do something with small chunks of wood. It's literally taking a chunk of wood and spinning it and cutting off everything that's not a bowl. Carvers, I think they can make shapes that we can't do because we're kind of still stuck with the rounder shapes, but it's a lot quicker because while that thing's spinning, I can go and send shavings flying. And it's very quiet. It's not a turn on the table saw and put on your hearing protection. You just get the sound of the wood being cut, and it is rhythmic. Sometimes I have to be careful turning too long. I get a little hypnotized because it's and you get the repetitiveness. It's very relaxing. I think that's one reason I do this, is it's a way to release stress. Make a big pile of sawdust and the stress goes away. So if I split it there, oh, that works out well. And this tree just grew last week. There you go. And this will give you the high points and then the low points on those bowls. Yeah, but right in there, well, that's the hope. Maybe I'll take that in and we can start with that. I don't start with a certain shape in mind. because it's depending on the piece of wood. I like to turn stuff when it's green, so you could literally go out, cut a tree down, take a piece of wood, put it on the lathe, you can make a bowl the same day. You can't use it because it's wet. I know the stuff I'm turning is harvested properly. I'm not cutting a tree down because I want to turn a bowl. It's the tree already came down. A lot of the wood I get comes from other people's firewood. I need something that's long enough, so I may have to lose up to 6 inches off either end to cut off the cracks. And then I'm looking for limbs and other defects that I might be able to capture. I had testicular cancer a few years ago, so if I can find tumors on a tree and turn them into stuff, to me that's kind of fun after what I went through. Then cut it up into a blank because my lathe can only fit a 20-inch diameter something. And then I have to whittle that thing down so it'll actually spin. The tools we use are fairly long so that we have more leverage. Once I kind of get it up on the lathe, then I need to create what they call a tenon. It looks like a little hockey puck, and it allows me to use something called a chuck, and it grabs onto that bulb, and then start working on the outside shape and get it to where I want it. And then it's just shape. It's just, whittling it until you get the right shape, and then dry it. So when I turn my bolt, that's not the final shape. As it dries, it'll shrink, and usually it'll warp and get a little bit longer because of the shape, and then I deal with it after that. After they're dry, then I do a lot of sanding, shaping. I've got some fairly aggressive stuff that makes clouds of sawdust. A lot of my final sanding is done off the lathe, which is a little untraditional because I like the oval shapes, because people try to figure out how you make an oval when I'm spinning it, and it should be a circle, but it's a lot of the wood drying process. So everything's done in my lap, sanding with different things that I found, and putting the finish on, I don't want to have sanding marks. I think Wisconsin has a wonderful mix of different woods to use. I don't have no desire to turn anything from outside Wisconsin anymore, just because I think Wisconsin's got a perfect climate for the right types of wood. So I love telling people where their stuff grew. Can have the connection, that story. That's important to me. I would love to have the bowl stay empty. If I can do something, find some cool shape in a bowl that you don't want to cover up, then I win. So I leave that up to people how they use it, but if they don't use it for anything, I think that's cool too, because the neat, what's on the tree is fun to show off. I think this is a cool way to take something that other people burn for firewood and make art out of it.
In Scott Boris's words, telling the story of a tree one bowl at a time. You can see more photos and videos of Scott Boris's natural-edged wood-turned bowls on his official website, greenwoodturnings.com, or on his Facebook page, greenwood.turnings. This monumental abstract sculpture is titled Ancestor. It was created by the late Japanese modernist sculptor Masayuki Nagare. Nagare believed that stones embody spirits. Ancestor is sculpted from black granite with parts of the stone rough and untouched, while other parts are polished to a high finish. This work begs to be touched, and Nagare meant for it to be fully experienced. And in nature, artists can be inspired by everything from great big rocks to tiny grains of sand. Also patterns found in nature. And recently, the Tibetan monks of the Drepung Loseling Monastery visited Milwaukee, and they spent a week at City Hall creating a sand mandala. Their precise and captivating meditative process involves laying down layers of brightly colored sand with intertwined symbolic patterns. With ceremony and reverence, the Tibetan monks of the Drepung Loseling Monastery prepare the sand that will become an intricately crafted mandala of ancient spiritual symbols and geometric patterns. Created over 3 days, the mandala's design promotes peace and healing. Just as important as its creation, the ritual of destroying the sand mandala is a reminder of the impermanence of life and the blessings to those that have experienced its beauty. Find out more about mandalas created out of sand, a fascinating artistic tradition still carried on by Tibetan monks, when you go to this website, tinyurl.com/sandmandala-painting. Have you been inspired by all the natural beauty of bonsais, bowls, and mandalas you've seen on today's show? Do you have suggestions for other local artists or arts organizations you'd like to see featured on our show? We'd love to hear from you. Please call us at 414-797-3760 with your story ideas and your comments. If you can't wait to see another episode of The Arts Page, you can stream any of our previous 200 episodes and learn more about our show online when you visit the Milwaukee PBS website at milwaukeepbs.org and click on The Arts Page. You can find Milwaukee PBS on Facebook too. Special thanks to the staff here at Lynden Sculpture Garden for their hospitality and their commitment to sharing art and natural beauty with our community. See more of the Lynden Sculpture Garden collection and exhibitions here in person and online at their website, lyndensculpturegarden.org. I'm Sandy Maxx. Thank you for watching, and I invite you to join us next time for another half hour full of art on The Arts Page. Milwaukee PBS, working here, it really is a community, and it's fun to chat with other producers of the other shows, Adelante, Around the Corner, Outdoor Wisconsin, Black Nouveau. We all have the same excitement to tell stories, and we all can't do it if there is not support. Not just moral support and hearing people come up to you and go, I watch your show, I really enjoy it. That's meaningful, and that puffs us up and gets us going, and we want to go out there and make more shows. But if you believe in what Milwaukee PBS is and what we do in telling stories about Milwaukee, then that's when your annual membership of any level, it really does make a difference, because it costs money to get cameras out in the field and to make the arrangements and interview people and really get stories to you. It does cost money. And when we say things like, made possible by viewers like you, like, we really mean it. And if Milwaukee PBS is something you believe in, it's a membership you should belong to, because it really is a community, not just in the building, but all the other viewers. When we get together, it's really rewarding and enriching to know that the shows that we're bringing do make a difference.